Post-ecological media ontology. Field, event, narrative, and fold.
0. The field before language. Before the image, before language, before narrative, there is a field. Not as an idea, not as a metaphor, as tension, as an atmosphere that is already here. And film, today, increasingly stops being a story. It becomes something else. It becomes a way the field is modulated.
Then, an inert medium. Once the medium was inert. Film was a closed system. You watch, it unfolds. Your experience is internal, invisible, unmeasurable. The apparatus doesn't know you exist. In that world, narrative was the perfect tool, a linear model for a linear medium.
2. Now, a reactive medium, a feedback loop. Today that is reversed. The medium is reactive, adaptive, feedback-driven. Algorithms measure attention. The feed adjusts to your micro-movements. The platform knows how many seconds you watched. It knows where you paused. It knows what held you and what dropped off. Sometimes it knows your emotional curve better than you do, which means the medium is no longer representation. The medium is interaction. And this is where narrative breaks, not because it's ideologically bad, but because it is technologically incompatible with a new regime of perception.
3. Narrative as technology, a GPS that lags. Narrative assumes a beginning, a middle, an end, cause and effect, character and motivation, a viewer as a passive receiver. But today's media ecosystem works differently, as a flow, as a signal, as modulation, as the distribution of attention, as an adaptive feedback loop. Narrative is GPS, but the world no longer has coordinates. It has vectors, turbulence, currents.
4. Dismantling the apparatus without a new architecture. In that context, Jeff was a radical gesture. It dismantled the apparatus. It broke perceptual automatism. Burning film, stroboscope, projector destruction, a laboratory of destruction. But it offered no new architecture. And that wasn't accidental. Anti-film was an answer, not a program. Reaction demolishes, but it doesn't build. And they avoided a positive project, because the moment you propose a direction, you risk a new norm, a new canon, a new ideology. But destruction as a form can become a closed loop. Destruction as an end.
5. After destruction, 3 directions. If you break the apparatus, what then? There are 3 directions Jeff never developed. First, a new perception. Not an attack on the optical cortex, but new models of seeing, new rhythms, new relations between viewer and image. Second, a new politics of the image. If narrative is an ideological construct, what is the alternative beyond not this? Third, a new technology. GEFF was tied to the analog apparatus. They didn't anticipate the digital, the procedural, the algorithmic, the interactive. Destruction is a beginning, but it isn't a project.
6. Atmosphere instead of GPS, and this is where OOF enters. Narrative is GPS. OOF is atmosphere. Narrative guides. Atmosphere envelops. Narrative gives coordinates. Atmosphere gives a state. This is a different model of perception. Not story, but climate.
7. Field, event, narrative. The direction reverses. Classical film, it often went like this: narrative, then event, then atmosphere. In post-ecological practice, the direction flips. Atmosphere, then field, then event, and only then narrative, as a byproduct. The event is a singularity. The field is the condition of possibility. The event is an impact. The field is climate. The event is a moment. The field is duration.
8. What is an event? The wave as archetype. And that's why we have to say precisely what an event is. An event is a local perturbation in the field, a brief condensation, a flash, amplitude, a fold in the surface. The structure is the same in physics, in perception, in media. Field, perturbation, amplitude, collapse, return to the field. A wave breaking on shore is the visible marker of that pattern. The sea is the field. The wave is the event. Most events happen outside our registers. Micro-perturbations in tissue. Algorithmic micro-decisions. Events in someone else's consciousness. Real, but not ours.
9. Logos. Language as codec, an ontological internet. And now, Logos. Logos is an external ontological internet, a network of meanings, a protocol of exchange, a linguistic API, a format of consciousness compatible with the social world. Language doesn't describe consciousness. Language renders consciousness. Consciousness is a field. Language is the rasterization of that field. Narrative is the sequencing of events inside that raster. That's why language always lags behind experience. That's why it never captures the field at full density.
10. The pre-linguistic sensor. The field exists and doesn't wait for logos. Is there a field beyond the reach of language? Yes, ontologically, not metaphorically. You feel it in stillness, in a meditative moment, in creation, in intervals without narrative. The field has its own signal, tension in the body, a change in breathing rhythm, the widening or narrowing of attention, the density of space, a sense of presence without content. This is perception before perception. The field doesn't wait for you to know it through logos.
11. Perception as feedback, a new interface. Historically, feedback was material. Touch, movement, voice, sound. The body as a tool. The world as a mechanical apparatus. Today, feedback migrates into the field. Attention becomes a signal. A state of consciousness becomes input. Perception becomes a modulatory factor. Perception becomes an interface in the field of consciousness. Tele, in the sense of at a distance, affective in the sense of state as data, kinetic as the movement of attention and intensity.
12. Final cut. Post-film. A new ecology of perception. Here, the apparatus is already alive, adaptive, feedback-driven. The role changes. You don't break it. You reprogram its function. Speculative mood and the depth department make a shift. From destruction to ontology, from narrative to atmosphere, from representation to modulation. The world already has its own frame rate, its own tempo, its own glitch rhythms. And film is no longer a tool for capturing reality. Film emerges from the same matrix as reality. In the post-ecological era, film is not a medium. Film is a field.